Welcome, everyone, to the third podcast today for Talented Universe on this 14th day of April, one day before Wonderful Tax Day. And I am here with my co-host, Greg. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And we have a special guest that I have been talking up the last few days on the shows. And I've gotten some weird things, like people think I'm lying when I tell what we're going to be talking about tonight. But where it is true, we are going to be talking about chess boxing with Matt Thomas. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to be done with my taxes. Got them in early this morning, and right on time, right before the bell, and excited to share some more chess boxing with the world.
Yeah, as I was telling you before we went online, I was watching. I just happened to watch 60 Minutes, and it wasn't even when it was on. It was they rebroadcasted at 1 a.m, and I happened to be up working on stuff. And I tuned in and I went, wait a minute, what are we talking about? And chess boxing, really? And I said, it's on 60 Minutes, so it must be true.
Yeah, 60 Minutes has definitely helped legitimize things. And it's good to know that they've rerun it. It kind of makes sense, because I'll get waves of people reaching out, but they're usually in concentrated little pockets. So that might be one reason.
That might be why. Yeah.
It might be. The segment is available on YouTube.
And yes, it is. And I did find it again on YouTube, so I was happy about that. What got me is when I was rewatching. I thought I had heard it, when I saw it the first time, but the World Tournament was in Serbia last year, correct?
That's right. Yeah, in a small sports town called Loznica, just north of Belgrade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of people on our podcast from Serbia. So when I heard that, it was like, oh wow, that is so wild. But so tell us a little bit about that event, and then I'll go over to Greg after you finish with that. What entailed in the event? Who was there? Why did you go? And what was the outcome?
Sure. So I'll take you back to the beginning.
Okay, good.
Sport is very young. It was created in 2003 by a guy named Iepe Rubingh, who passed away in 2020. So for about 17 years, he was at the helm. And in 2017, we had our first World Championship, which is the seventh iteration is what you saw on 60 Minutes and what you just asked about. So from 2017, a break for COVID, and then to 2025, we've had 7 World Championships where everyone who chess boxes in the world, if they have the means to get to where the World Championship is, can compete to become a world champion. And in 2018, so the second year they ever hosted it, I became the first American to go and represent my country alongside a teammate named Kevin Von Carver. He and I were the first Team USA, two of us strong. And neither of us expected to win. It was both of our first times chess boxing, because there's no chess boxing opportunities in the United States, especially at that time. So we had our own kind of isolated training camps. We would play chess online together at night and kind of talk about how training was going. But that was the extent of like the team dynamic, if you could call it that, until we were in India. And then it was really nice to have another American in your corner. But after that World Championship, we both ended up walking away with gold medals. But we were the most surprised out of anyone that ended up being the outcome. But we came back to the States with this medal from a sport that no one's ever heard of. We're like, well, what should we do? Should we just go about our lives, or should we try to grow this thing? And so Kevin went about his life. He went and hiked the Appalachian Trail the next year. He started a franchise of F-45s across the Midwest. He's a super successful guy. And I decided to double down on chess boxing. And my previous life, I was a charity boxing promoter. I started promoting fraternity fight nights and charity boxing nights in college. So it was one of my first businesses before, after mowing lawns in high school. And I felt like this was kind of tailor made for me, especially after the passing of Iepe in 2020, because our community was kind of lacking leadership and not really sure what the next step was. And me, alongside my fellow board members, ended up kind of taking the organization, the WCBO, and saying, hey, we aren't done. Iepe got us started, but we're going to keep going, and we're going to host world championships from here on out, and set it up democratically so people can vote in new board members and everything else. So 2020 was kind of the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of scaling of chapter 2. And this past world championship was a special one. As if you watch the 60-minute segment, you saw why. We had our first fully built out Team USA go to the world championship as complete underdogs. We hadn't brought more than 2 people to a world championship since 2018, when Kevin and I were the first 2. I went back in 2019 with another teammate, and then we didn't have anyone. After I stopped competing, we didn't have anyone from 2020 to 2025. And this year we brought 17 chess boxers from the United States. It was all their first time chess boxing in front of a crowd and actually competing in the World Championship format. And we did pretty well.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that was really the first one, since you had been on, kind of that. Going from 2 to 17, that's pretty impressive.
I'm more proud of that than I am the World Championship. The way that team was built, one person at a time, one pitch at a time, getting them to, there's no money in chess boxing. I can't offer them like a payday or something. I'm essentially pitching, hey, go represent your country, come back with, maybe a medal and some pride. And 17 people decided to lean in and get over to Serbia and come together as a team and end up taking home an overall silver medal for team standing.
Wow. Oh, Greg, go right ahead.
So I just want to back up a bit. So for people that don't know what chess boxing is, but may know what boxing is or know what chess is, how does the sport differ from both? And what elements from each are brought into an event?
Sure. Well, for one, you can't punch someone in a chess tournament without getting thrown out. So, our sport, it's inherent that both are going to happen. And the basic format of chess boxing is you alternate rounds between the board game chess and the combat sport boxing until either checkmate or knockout, whatever comes first. So if you're really good at chess, basically you want to try to maximize your advantage where on the battlefield where you have it. So you want to play really fast in chess. You want to progress the game closer and closer to checkmate. You want to put your opponent in precarious kind of situations where they can make more mistakes. And in the ring, you want to be running away. You don't want to take any risks in the ring because you just want to get back to the board and checkmate the guy. And if the opposite is true, if you're a pro fighter, which we had a couple on our team this year, and your chess is more mediocre or beginner, well, then you want to be moving really slow on the board. One, to make less mistakes, but 2, the longer that time ticks, the more potential time you're going to get in the ring. Because as soon as that bell rings, you have 1 minute to put on your gloves, and you get 3 minutes to box the guy that you just played chess against. Now, if both of you are still standing at the end of the first chess round, it's time to box. If both of you are still standing at the end of the first boxing round, you go back and play chess. You go back and forth like that until there's a definite finish. And so that can be checkmate, knockout, or timeout. And time management is a really important component of chess boxing as well, which we can talk about. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, mostly. So the chess match, is it speed chess or blitz chess then?
Doesn't have to be. If you're a pro boxer, you can move nice and slow, but no, you have a timer, and if you run out of time for the whole game, you lose, and that's what's considered a timeout. So
okay,
we'll just use actual numbers here for the first rounds of the World Championship, what we call qualification rounds before the semifinals and finals. we do a 5-round fight. And you always start and end with chess. So you start with chess, you go to boxing, go to chess, go back to boxing, go back to chess. And every round is 3 minutes. So the entire match is going to take 15 minutes, separated up into 5 3-minute rounds. Because there are 3 chess rounds, 3 times 3 is 9, so 9 total minutes. Each player in that chess boxing match is going to have 4.5 minutes on their clock, exactly half of 9. So at the end of that final chess round, if both people haven't been knocked out, if you've survived the whole way through the chess game for the whole 5 minutes, for the whole 4.5 minutes, one of you is going to run out of time before the end of that chess round. And the reason why I'm breaking this down so granularly and why I think it's so important is I think that this is the biggest and best correction or iteration that we've added to combat sports. Because if you ever watched a boxing match and the guy that everyone saw won didn't get his hand raised at the end, you know what I'm talking about. You know, what was a judge paid off? Was the fight fixed by the mob? Was, what was I watching that the judges didn't see? And that subjectivity, it leaves a lot of room for error because humans are flawed and we make errors. It also leaves a lot of room for potential corruption or unjust kind of rulings. So in order to remove that, Iepe did a really smart thing, which is in 99% of our matches, you will see a checkmate or a knockout or a timeout, and you'll know exactly why whoever won. So it creates this very fair, very transparent form of competition that, in my opinion, of course I'm biased, but in my opinion, it's the ultimate form of competition. I don't think there's any other sport that combines mind, body, and spirit in the way that our sport does.
Interesting. So back to you, Michael. Are we getting any comments?
I just got a hi, and it's from someone from Bangladesh. Hi, I'm Anisha Takdar, and from Bangladesh. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, if you have a question for Matt, please put it there where you put that, and we will get to your question.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. How do I put this? After you won your gold, did you think about just not doing anything else with it, or did you just really you just got the notion just you wanted to do more with this?
I kind of put it in the hobby category of my life. Mm-hmm. I went back in 2019 and competed again. So I had another fight camp. I was competing as a boxer around that time as well. So I was training for other fights. It was just a hobby. I was never intending to make money with boxing. I wanted to just do it because I loved it, and my body was kind of made for it. So I wanted to do it as long as I could and then get out before I did too much damage to myself. And with chess boxing, it really tipped over the edge last year. It's been a very slow kind of build, but last year, a couple things hit all at once. One, we had 60 minutes to reach out pretty early in the cycle for me to be able to realize, okay, for the last 50 plus years, 60 Minutes has been the most watched news outlet in the United States. So if I want this to grow in the United States, which I do, then this is an incredible opportunity that I need to prioritize. I need to put work and relationships and other things kind of on the back burner to make this number one. And two, we had a few, but both celebrities and very good chess players reach out to be a part of the team. And to have the traditional chess world start to embrace chess boxing, which has always been kind of a redheaded stepchild, this oddity, this absurdity that people in the chess world would make fun of. To have people like James Canty or FIDE Master William Grafe reach out with titles, with a New York State championship under Grafe's belt, with a top 10 chess stream under James Canty's belt. that gave us a lot more firepower to be able to start to go for sponsors, to be able to start to legitimize the sport as not just something that's kind of funny to ask during chess interviews for top 10 players, but something that is actually viable as an option for athletic chess players who want to challenge themselves and compete at a high level, probably higher than they compete in just chess. So those two things happening made me kind of start to reorganize my life in order to give this the space and the air to be able to breathe and grow. And what's taken that space, I've been very pleased with. We've been able to open up over 10 clubs across the country just since the 60 minutes segment. So we have a grassroots movement of people that want to congregate together and train specifically chess boxing, not go to chess club one night and boxing club, 3 nights a week or whatever, but actually do the format. And we have 3 collegiate chess clubs starting up next month. So from kind of the top down, the people around my age, I'm 35, it's only ever going to be a hobby and a passion. We aren't going to be able to make this our careers and our lives. We've kind of already aged out of that. But you start getting into college kids and especially youth under 18, which I'm working on a partnership with the AAU, the Amateur Athletic Union, in order to offer chess and then chess combat. If we get kids growing up with at least exposure to chess combat, if not it being their main thing, their main focus, that's how you really build a sport. It's not through the people doing it today that are of age. It's through the next generation that grow up as hobbyists and fans and hopeful professionals. Because with aspirations like getting chess boxing into the Olympics or getting chess boxing to be sanctioned in the United States, to be able to compete in the same way that people compete in the UFC or professional boxing, it's pretty far off. There's a lot of requirements that we don't meet. And a lot of those requirements have to do with fan base and with demographic of who's watching. So starting with kids is the way forward. And that's what I've been focused on since 60 Minutes is opportunities for people to be exposed to the sport. And once they're exposed, to have an option to actually act on that and train.
Wow. That makes total sense. This tour that you're going on starting Saturday, are you going to universities? Are you going to just, like you said, some of these, they're starting to open up some clubs. Are you going to the cities that there's clubs opening up, or what is your, what's your goals? What's your, what is it you want to do?
Yeah, no colleges are on the list just yet, but what we are focused on doing is going to the major markets that already have an established club with enough people to at least train with team members that we fly out there, and hopefully a few qualified people to try out for the team. And what we're doing is we're starting with New York, which is one of our hubs for chess boxing in the United States. A guy named Jared Gaiman in the late 2000s. What was the first person on U.S. soil to start chess boxing, and it was in New York. So it's kind of ground zero for the sport. And so we're starting out there. We're flying in some of our world champions like James Canty, who won a super heavyweight gold against Russia in the final fight of the whole world championship. So
that was wild. I saw the parts of that, and I just went, I can't believe he did it.
Yeah, me neither. But he's a beast on the board and in the ring. So he'll be there. We also have a special guest for this one. It's a 3-time national champion chess player, women's grandmaster Jennifer Shahade. And she just released a new book. She'll be doing a Chess Fit simul. She'll be talking about the book, Thinking Sideways. The whole event is free. It's 2 to 5 p.m. at Outbox Gym in New York. And if you just want to spectate, that's fine. You don't have to strap up. If you want to train with the team for the first 30 minutes, you can do the warm-up with us and some chess boxing drills. And then it'll shift over to tryouts. And people can stick around and watch tryouts. And that same format will be replicated across the country. So we have cities like Atlanta, Miami coming up next. We have Austin, Chicago for the Midwest. And we have Vegas, Los Angeles, and San Francisco for the West Coast. So and we're leaving it open in case, one city comes out of nowhere and be like, hey, we just found out about this, but we have 30 people that train chess boxing every other day. We'd love for you to come here. We can be adaptable and come to a place where there's enough interest and support to host a training and a tryout there. But those are the markets that we've identified that already have some chess boxing activity and enough people to come try out where it would be worth the stop.
That makes sense. Well, I'm going to throw up. We just had a comment from Christian Macias says chess boxing is the next best thing. So
yeah, the name looks familiar. Thank you, Christian. I think he's in our ranks, and yeah, we want that kind of spirit popping up all over this country. We're kind of late to the party. Russia's been where we are now. They were here 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, because
they've been able to get it in over 500 schools and universities and clubs across Russia. It's it's becoming a mainstream sport in that country.
How many contestants did Russia have come to chess boxing?
Over 60.
Wow.
Yeah,
and you had 17.
4 times the size of our team.
Yeah. Wow. That is something. Greg.
I've got lots of questions. So you mentioned one of the persons coming to your event is a female chess player. Is the sport co-ed? Do you have women's bouts and men's bouts, or matches? Do men and women compete against each other?
This is maybe the most important thing to cover if there's any interested chess boxers out there. The way to place first overall is to do what Russia did, which is bringing a huge team and stacking every weight class, every age group, and every gender. So men and males and females can compete in chess boxing, and there's separate divisions for them.
Okay.
Aside from that, there are multiple weight classes within each gender division. So for men's classic, we have 12 weight classes. For women's classic, we have 8 weight classes. And then we have youth and masters as well. So under 18, separate division, and over 40, separate division.
Oh, okay.
So all these sections, we don't have enough people to fill all of them. So in some weight classes, there's just 2 people, and those people are automatically in the finals, and they fight for a world championship. So if you're in one of those kind of fringe groups, if you're a kid and you're like, chess boxing's cool, I want to go represent my country, you have a pretty good shot at winning a world championship, regardless of your level, just by showing up. It's almost like a participation trophy at this point. And same with females. We need a lot more females reaching out to compete. And so, especially young kids, especially women. And we still have spots on our Masters team for this year too. But Masters men is one of the places where we shined in the last World Championship. All 5 Masters fighters that we brought all ended up winning gold. So that was a way that we got that medal count up really high.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Are you finding that you're getting more boxers coming in and then embracing chess, or more chess players coming in and embracing the athletic aspect of it?
In general, it leans chess. And I'd love for it to be more balanced, but I will say chess is a much harder thing to get a baseline efficacy of to be able to compete in the World Championship than boxing. If you're a good enough athlete and you can stay away from danger from someone, if you can cover up, if you can dance around the ring for 3 minutes, and you're a good chess player, I mean, that was basically Canty's build. That was William Graf's build. That's going to be international master Sasha Velikanov's build. These people are in the top 1% of chess players in the world. They don't need to be good at boxing. They need to be able to stay alive and checkmate everyone.
Okay.
So I'd say that the chess world has embraced us a little bit more than the boxing world. Where our broadcasting partner is Chess TV, which is owned by Chess.com. It's the biggest company in chess. And they're one of our team sponsors as well. So thank you, Chess.com. We couldn't have gone to the World Championship the way that we did without them last year. And so I would put it at maybe like a 65-35 or a 70-30 kind of split in favor of chess players.
Pretty cool. So you mentioned that there's 2 rounds of chess. If somebody gets beaten up pretty good in their second round of fighting, does it affect their chess match, or does the intense thought in the chess matches affect people's ability to fight?
So you've landed on the crux of the sport. So chess is hard enough on its own. When you add the complication of not only getting hit in the head, kind of the obvious damage like brain damage. Not many people get actual brain damage in chess boxing. It's a hard thing to do. You have to time the punch perfectly. You have to have the power. You have to have the technique. The real killer for playing good chess is actually fatigue. It's your cardiovascular shape. If you have a super high heart rate and your brain is still in an elevated state where it thinks it's in danger, you're going to be stuck in a part of your brain called the amygdala, which was one of the first parts of the brain to develop. It kept us alive during caveman days. It controls present tense kind of actions, and it controls fear response, fight, flight, or freeze. If you've heard that before. This part of your brain is really good at keeping you alive. It's really bad at chess, because chess is a game where you have to be not only considering the future and thinking moves ahead, like when people talk about chess, you calculate what's going to happen before it happens, but it's a memory-based game. The reason why you're able to calculate and recognize positions is because of memory and pattern recognition. And the amygdala sucks at all of those activities. The part of the brain that you want to be using is the complete opposite hemisphere. It's your prefrontal cortex. And it's the last part of your brain to develop. It's the most evolved part. So in order to access that part of your brain, you kind of have to trick your body and your brain into thinking that you're safe. So as soon as a boxing round ends, you want to be getting into chess mode. And you have 1 minute to do that. So you have to go over to your corner and take off your gloves. That's the only requirement before coming back over to the board. But there's a lot of other things that you can do in those 60 seconds that can give you a slight advantage over your opponent. If you can lower your heart rate faster, if you can start to engage the part of your brain that's better at memory, pattern recognition, analyzing, etc., that's going to give you a little head start in the chess match in the next round. And it only takes a few seconds to make a mistake, blunder, and have this domino effect of momentum working against you the rest of the round. And we've seen just through data that most of the match-ending mistakes that happen on the chessboard happen within the first 30 seconds of the round, which means that's when they're the most affected by whatever just happened in the boxing ring, whether it's head trauma, getting hit hard, or whether it's fatigue, which is most of the cases.
Interesting. That's really, that's kind of like what I was thinking could happen. That's really, it puts more of the sport aspect into both. And it's kind of, I can now starting to see how this is taken off. Very, very cool. So you'd mentioned they have to take off their gloves. In heavyweight boxing, you usually have these big monster gloves, tape, and all of the stuff that goes with it. Do you use that type of boxing glove, or are you using the smaller sparring gloves, or with only a minute to transition? How does that happen?
Your hands are still wrapped, and they're wrapped in a way that's inspected by a judge. So that people aren't like shoving metal or brass knuckles or something in their wrapping, right? So it's the same as pro boxing in that respect. Okay. And the gloves are just the ones that in pro boxing they usually use lace up gloves, and then they tape the laces. But there are plenty of other gloves that can be put on and taken off much faster. Usually with Velcro, that are fine for competition. So usually what happens is you put the glove back on, you Velcro it, and they put one round of tape around it so the Velcro doesn't come off.
And do you use, say, 2 rings, or a ring and a place to play the chess game, or does the chessboard get reset up in the ring?
Depends on the promotion. The last 2 years in the World Championship, we took the board out of the ring and we put it on a stage, and then there's a walkway from the ring to the stage. So that's more for, I'd say, showmanship. The way that it started is the board would be put in the middle of the ring. So, most of the early shows that Iepe put on and others were in, music venues or clubs, right? So you'd have a couple hundred people kind of gathered around a stage or around the middle of a room. So everything kind of had to happen in that one place. I was a part of the biggest and the most successful chess boxing event in history in 2022. A live streamer named Ludwig put on the Mogul Chessboxing Championship, and he had a sponsor pay for an elevated, like a crane, to lower the board into the center of the ring in between rounds, and then raise it after the end of the chess round. So people have gotten creative, like Ludwig. Most people don't have $2 million to put into a chess boxing event, so sometimes they're setting up a folding table in the center of a ring and putting up a DGT board.
That's what I'd be doing. That's really cool. Michael, I see the comment count coming.
Yeah, we got Christian has a couple more things. Christian says, can't wait to see Chessboxing blossom in Miami. Is there going to be an event down there, or is that where Christian might be from?
Yeah, we're looking at venues and dates to host one of our Team USA tryout tour stops in Miami right now, and Christian is helping out.
Oh, there you go. That explains that.
Yep.
And what's one thing you underestimated when you started as a chess boxing athlete?
Yeah, I think it's something that's still underestimated today for most people, which is that phenomenon that happens in between rounds that I described a second ago. It's kind of table stakes to be good at chess and good at boxing, and to practice both and ideally practice them in tandem. You can always tell the people that just practiced chess in isolation and boxing in isolation in the World Championship, they always get exposed. The minute in between rounds is I think the next frontier for the sport of what kinds of recovery techniques or priming techniques can people develop to get an advantage at the beginning of the round when the most important moves or punches are being thrown. And it's something that wasn't really on my radar going into the first World Championship, but inadvertently I was practicing basically priming for the next activity without really having any kind of neuroscience behind it or data behind it like we have now. I kind of stumbled into it because I was into breath work and yoga, and I would use a certain breath pattern to downregulate, which is a slow pattern breath, and I'll use another breath pattern to upregulate, which is very fast pattern breath. And no one in the sport was doing that yet at that time, so that's my little contribution to the sport, is starting to focus on this minute in between rounds, and it's already changed since I started doing it in 2018. People are adding things like inner word kind of mantra. So they're repeating the same thing to themselves over and over and over again to kind of drown out everything else and just become a one-track mind that now I'm a chess player. And then closed eyes visualization. That's something that I wasn't doing a whole lot of when I was competing, but thought might be able to help. But basically, as soon as the bell rings and someone makes it to their corner, their eyes are closed and they're starting to visualize the board, visualize the last move that was made, visualize candidate moves, what would happen after those candidate moves. High-level chess players can play chess blindfolded. And we're getting more high-level chess players in chess boxing that are starting to do closed eyes visualization before the board even comes back into view. So these little kind of competitive advantages are starting to bubble up in our sport. And it's still so young. I love using the example of the high jump, where up until the mid-20th century, everyone was jumping over the high jump belly first. And it took one guy to be like, what if I tried jumping over it with my back, to break every world record and to set a completely new standard for the sport? In my opinion, the starting to focus on the minute in between rounds as another competitive minute. It's not a break. It's not just to get gloves on and off. Focusing on that as a third battlefield is I think something akin to the high jump shift.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Christian says one last thing, at least for now. Has anyone been KO'd in recent time?
Yeah, KOs happen every world championship. We had the head of New York. The head of New Jersey chess boxing got knocked out by a Russian in the first round. He was our first guy to fight in the world championship too. It was like a terrifying, like, oh no, did I just bring 17 people over here to all get knocked out in the first
round? Yeah.
But he a great kid and ended up being a great teammate the rest of the week for the rest of the guys. And then we got some of our own knockouts. We had two TKOs, one against France and one against Russia, from two people that earned bronze medals in the last world championship.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Grasser scored a TKO with a body shot, and he's a lawyer up in New York, so he earned the ring name the Body Shot Lawyer after that. And then our own little bronze bomber, if you're familiar with Deontay Wilder, that's his nickname. We have a guy named Dion, who is a pro boxer, about a more novice level chess player. But every match he had, he knocked everyone out until someone finally checkmated him in the semifinals. So he's a beast in the ring. You don't want to see that guy across from you, but if you can survive it for a round, you have a decent chance of checkmating them in the third round. So, we love throwing in some kind of one-trick ponies like Dion in a certain weight classes to scare people. He might not be good enough at both to go on and win the whole thing, but he can clear out a weight class with some really strong chess players that can't hold up to his boxing. And then, if we can have two people in a weight class, Dion clears out the chess players, and then a well-balanced Team USA guy goes on to win. That's a great case scenario from where I'm sitting as coach and building teams.
Wow. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
I'd like to be sanctioned in the United States to be able to host ticketed combat sports events like every other combat sport can.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that's the biggest obstacle is states really don't want to take us on. So I've had to do a lot more kind of lobbying and politics than I would have liked just to be able to host legal competitions on U.S. soil. So sanctioning is top of my list. I'd love to see youth programming, which is why I'm so focused on the AAU right now.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to have chess combat in any form as one of the 50 plus sports that the AAU oversees nationals for and the Junior Olympics for would give us a lot of legitimacy and probably make that sanction pitch a lot easier in a lot of states. 5 years from now, if I could be stepping back from leadership in both the WCBO, our international organization, and in United Chess Boxing, I think that would mean success. Not because I want to work any less, but because that means that other people are seeing a big part of their life in working on this sport. And if people could be running these organizations that are hosting world championships or building Team USA or starting to actually promote fights, that would mean that the sport's in a really good place. And that is not just these few passionate people that were there from the close to the beginning that are running the sport. Now it's kind of extended to this second or third generation.
My last question is, where is the next world tournament going to be held, or has that been decided yet?
Yeah, it hasn't been officially announced yet. I will say that the two countries that have submitted bids, I should say 3 countries that have submitted bids, are Serbia again, to return to the same place where we did it, which was very cost effective and definitely our best run world championship. So I don't think it's unfair to say that Serbia is probably our favorite right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Turkey is also offered and or bid, and Czech Republic has also bid.
all right in the same area, really.
All in striking distance of missiles that seem to be flying around that area too. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that peace comes soon and doesn't amongst a lot more important things that peace would mean.
Yes.
That it doesn't disrupt any Chessboxing World Championship.
Oh, that is something. Greg, go ahead.
Oh, sure. So obviously, you don't have spectator events, with open, spectator events in the U.S. now, if you're not sanctioned yet. What about in Europe and Asia, or even Africa? Do they have like ticketed events? And because both chess and boxing are, spectator sports worldwide. So, what's the turnout like? What kind of people come to watch? Things like that.
Yep. So there are multiple promotions around the world that can legally host chess boxing events, as long as it's not on U.S. soil. The United States is the hardest market in the world to host any kind of event, but specifically combat sports, because it's considered unarmed combat, and they really cracked down on it in the 20th century because of mob activity. It was basically a way to money launder, fix fights, etc. So the federal government got super involved in combat sports to a point where it's tough to enter. In pretty much every other country, including other Western countries like in Europe, you don't have to apply for a different kind of permit than any other kind of like live event, like a concert. So there isn't this whole other rule set that you have to play by, like in the United States. So there's the promotion I actually found out about chess boxing through is London Chess Boxing, which is I think rebranded to Chessboxing Nation, and they've only stayed in London. And then the biggest and in my opinion the best chess boxing promotion in the world is called the Intellectual Fight Club, or the IFC for short, and they're positioning themselves as basically the UFC of our sport. They're paying their fighters, which is the first time in our sport that's happened, and they're hosting real shows in real venues because the guy that runs it is one of my fellow board members in the WCBO, Guillaume, who ran a music festival for 20 years called Worldwide Festival. So he has really good production chops, and he has a great team to be able to put on shows like this. Even to the point of, we had an exhibition in the Paris 2024 Olympics the night before the opening ceremony in Les Olympia in Paris. We had a crowd of over 2,000 people in one of the most iconic music venues in Paris. We had two fights. We had a lot of Olympic athletes in the crowd, a lot of media in the crowd. It's one of the things that helped kind of put us on the radar of media organizations like CBS News and 60 Minutes. So those types of promotions are super important. I'd love to have one up and running in the United States, but sanctioning comes first. Yeah. And until then, it's Russia doing Russia's thing in Russia. They're pretty isolated from the rest of the world. India has a really active organization. Unfortunately, the president of the Indian organization just passed away a few months ago. So we'll see who's going to lead there now. But and then Europe is pretty much united through IFC, and then 2 or 3 times a year there'll be a Chessboxing Nation event in London.
Cool. So you're starting, kind of like an awareness, hey, let's get people interested thing here in the United States, starting in New York. Where can people learn about where you're going to be and when?
Yeah, the best way is through social media. So mine have been ticking across the bottom like stocks for the interview. So it's really easy though. It's at Moving with Matt on all platforms. Matt only has 1 T. So anywhere where you consume media, it's the same handle for me personally. And then United Chess Boxing is the brand that oversees Team USA. And it's the first agency in the sport. So we help other events get sponsorship. We help with content creation. We help represent fighters and try to get them spots on shows. And the primary responsibility for United Chess Boxing is building and managing Team USA. So at United Chessboxing is where to find that on social. And then UnitedChessboxing.com is our home site. And you can fill out an interest form there. You can let us know if you're a potential fighter, if you just want to join a club and do it as a hobby, if you want to start a club, if you want to be a sponsor. We need more of those. So if you want to write a check, I'd love to talk to you. All of those can be found on the United Chessboxing site.
Cool. Other than winning, of course, let's close with, do you have a favorite fun moment from one of the matches or events that you've attended or participated in?
There's been a lot. So a few come to mind. I'd say one of my most cherished memories, the one that is coming up the most vibrantly right now, is the last time I saw Iepe, which was the 2019 World Championship, right before the pandemic, and he passed away in May of the pandemic. So he was a super generous and kind and jovial kind of guy who took a few of us out after the final fights of the World Championship. And I was in a group that, he got us a table at some Turkish club and told all these stories about, the early chess boxing days, and we had drinks and we danced, and it was a lot of fun. One of my favorite things about the chess boxing community is those kinds of nights. That one was special because Iepe was there, but even now, you spend the whole World Championship week or the whole IFC fight weekend trying to dismantle your opponent, whether it's on the board or trying to beat him up in the ring. And always after the events, because we're such a small community and everyone loves this weird little sport that we do, everyone comes together, everyone has a good time together. It doesn't matter what you just did to each other in the ring or on the board. It's really something special to be a part of. In general, in sports, this happens, but especially in a sport like ours that's so early on in its story and that has so many passionate, crazy people in it. It's one of the best things about being involved with chess boxing is the people and the moments after the fights.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Back to you, Michael.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, think of something else. I mean, it's everything I was thinking about talking about, we've talked about. Is Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up that we have not?
Sure. Yeah. So one thing that I'm working on, again, with the AAU is expanding chess boxing from just Western style boxing into other martial arts. And it's one of the questions that we get the most in terms of, maybe it's a jiu-jitsu player or a taekwondo martial artist or whomever that also loves chess. Like, when is this variant coming? When is this chess hybrid coming? When is chess jiu-jitsu? When is chess taekwondo? When is chess judo? Whatever. And I will say that it looks a lot more likely and an easier path to sanctioning those types of hybrids than it is to sanction chess boxing, even though chess boxing's been around for over 20 years. So in the very near future, people can look out for more opportunities to get involved with chess combat more broadly. Mm-hmm. The same way that MMA, mixed martial arts, brought all those kind of martial arts into one kind of promotion and show, chess combat would endeavor to do the same. And there would be different formats for different martial art backgrounds. So, as the sport continues to evolve, it may also maybe not fracture, but replicate into other formats and other ways for people that might not be into boxing, but are into other martial arts to be able to get involved, which is something that, to circle back to your 5 years from now question, mm-hmm. I think I'm probably focusing more on chess combat in 5 years than I am on
just
running
the boxing.
One chess boxing organization like the WCBO or like United Chessboxing.
Wow. I mean, it could really take off in a lot of different directions depending on how it goes and the interest.
Let's hope so. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, it really
people
could.
love chess and people love fighting. You know, it's one of the most primal, most core to human beings and human spirit. One of the most core combinations that we could possibly have is combining our mind and our body in a way that I think is exciting and that challenges people who choose to enter the arena. And I think it's the most beautiful thing that exists in sports.
Now, do you see yourself, because you're kind of a coach now, is that correct, for Team USA, you would say, or because you say you're not physically participating? Is that what you said, or did I misunderstand?
Yeah. I've taken a step back from actively competing. I've even since I've said that, I've competed in a few show matches to help the sport grow.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, I fought against the GOAT of chess boxing from the old guard, the first generation, Carl Strugnall. We ended up playing to a draw. So I'll still do some kind of stuff like that. I probably won't enter a world championship again. If I do, it'll be after I'm 40, so that I can enter the Masters.
Get that one, yeah.
Yeah. So potentially then, but I don't feel like I need to do it again or prove anything. I think my role is much better served in this kind of like business kind of role and coaching as much as I can, but they're much better boxing coaches and much better chess coaches than I am. So I'd rather empower people that are much better at those expressions to be able to help our team. I can certainly coach on the minute in between rounds. That's what I do for a day job. I'm a mindset and performance coach for organizations like the NBA and Lululemon and A16Z and BlackRock. So I love coaching people, but it's not necessarily in the context of chess boxing. And I think as time goes on, there will be dedicated chess boxing coaches that way outclass me. So would love to see those people, get their fight experience so that they can be coaching from experience and then start to focus on coaching and bringing up the next generation of chess boxers.
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's really exciting. So everyone out there, I hope you kind of had some of your questions answered. I wish we'd had a few more questions in the chat room, but a lot of people just like to be quiet and just sit back and just think about what's going on. But everyone, right down there, you can see Matt's links down there. If you miss it, just go to talented-universe.com, go under 2026 tab, and you will find all of his links that you could just click on our webpage. So saying that, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Matt.